Here with Concordia head women's soccer coach Greg Henson to preview the 2016 season. First off, when you look back quick at last season, how much pride do you take in being able to say you're the only team in the conference to be able to make the GPAC championship game 2 years in a row, and really you're able to reach your peak at the right time of the year?
Yeah, we had a pretty young team coming back last season, and we knew that our goals remained the same as the previous year. It was going to be difficult to return back to that same standard, but I thought the players really rose to the challenge well. We had a little bit of a misstep in the road a little bit midway through the season, but really rallied back and bounced back, and I think really proved at the end of the year the type of team and the type of program that we currently have. And so definitely happy. When you take a look back at how it ended in the immediate aftermath of that championship game, obviously very disappointed at that time, but when you take a step away and look back, it was a great season for us again last year.
What does that say about your program 2 years in a row at the GPAC tournament? You're knocking Hastings out, the team that's really been looked at as the powerhouse in the conference.
Well, I mean, the game of soccer is very simple, and the biggest truth is that anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And I think we made that statement factual the last couple of years. But for us, our goals and what we kind of continue to talk about within the program, it's not about beating one particular team, and it's really more about winning conference championships and getting to the national tournament. That's where we set our sights, and that's where we want to get there. It just doesn't, there's certain teams that are always kind of in the way or roadblocks, but really beating one individual team on our schedule is not the goal for us. It's getting to the championship level.
Several of your players that you have back have experienced the last 2 years in those deep runs in the conference tournament. How valuable is that experience for them to have, especially when you get down the stretch late in the year again?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, we went from kind of a young team to kind of a veteran-led team this, in just 1 year, just because of that past experience. The first year is kind of a whirlwind, and everyone's kind of, we're learning as we go. And last year, I think was probably the best lesson that our players got to learn, was just that you can't take days off in this conference, and you can't take anybody for granted in this conference, and if you do, you're going to come out on the wrong end of the result. And so I think just from the conversations that we've had and the things that I hear from throughout the team is they kind of realized that last year, and we gotta stay focused if we're going to do what we really want to do, which is win the conference outright. And that's where we need to get to. So it's really kind of a matter of just consistency throughout the year.
Only a couple of losses from last year as far as players who saw significant minutes. How heated do you expect competition to be for spots when you consider how much is back and the recruiting class that you bring in?
Yeah, I mean, we lost two very important pieces out of our starting lineup from last year. A fifth-year senior and another senior captain. So a lot of leadership, I think, is one of the things that we really focused on this off-season, was trying to, and in the spring, it's just developing, a new leadership core and leadership base in that aspect. But yeah, I think every year, I said this last year at this time too, and it's still true, that this is going to be the deepest team that we've had in my 4-year tenure here. So I expect competition in preseason camp to be very good, and there's a number of spots, a number of positions, so to speak, that they'll have a number of players that can step in and win that job, and it's going to be really interesting to see, who comes out on top to start the season, and then how things play out as the year goes on.
Mentioned leadership. Is that one of the main things you hope to see come along in the preseason? What are some of the big things you want to accomplish before you actually play an official match this year?
Yeah, I think one of the areas is obviously is kind of leadership, and just kind of resetting our identity of who we are as a program, and making sure that we continue to pass that through each team or each generation, so to speak, that comes through the program each year. Another thing that's going to be key for us is just kind of, figuring out our central defense, and that's an area that we've, in the last 2 years, we've graduated some very, key players in back-to-back seasons out of those positions, and we have to be able to solidify that and make that a strength of ours, and that's one of the main focuses we're going to have in preseason.
Every single player that earned some form of all-conference recognition last year is back in the mix. How has that nucleus kind of come along, and what do we expect from that group?
It's still a young group. I mean, I think for the most part, I think that whole group too is going to be sophomores and juniors. So they're still a young group. There's still some growing pains in there, and there's some things that they have to continue to mature as athletes and students, but it's an exciting time for us definitely to have that entire group back. And I think there's a couple other players that were just as deserving that maybe didn't get that nod. So I think that group, that sophomore junior class, is really kind of the core right now for our team. And I think adding the freshmen in and with some of the seniors that we have that provide that leadership, this year is going to be. I'm looking forward to getting the season started, I guess.
With Maria Diener specifically, she's already a captain now as a sophomore, and really came on. It seemed like at the end of the year, played a big role in both of your conference tournament wins. How much more can you expect from her as a sophomore?
I don't think there's any additional pressure or anything like that. I mean, we didn't try to do that by giving her the armband, but she brings a kind of a different element or level to training and practice and things that we noticed as a coaching staff last year that we really wanted to bring out within the team. And so it's just a compliment to her. And as far as coming into sophomore year, I think freshman year you always come in, there's a little bit of a learning curve to the college level, and obviously she kind of had a great end of the season. So we expect her to continue on her same track and continue to get better and improve, and we'll see how the sophomore campaign goes.
This program has succeeded a lot by being a strong defensive group the last couple of years. Do you see any changes stylistically as you enter in your fourth year?
I mean, I think for me, one of the probably the proudest moments or things that I look at, not really somebody that chases the statistics around, but every year that I've been here, we've broke the fewest goals allowed record, and that's something that I think we're going to continue to try to achieve. We're going to be defensively strong first, and that's just I think to me that's just a philosophical side of the game. So hopefully we can get going in the attack a little bit more. We got some nice attacking-minded players here and skill players up front, and with a couple players we're bringing in this year as well. They're kind of proven goal scorers at the high school and club level. So hopefully we can put a few more balls in the back of the net. But at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that we're defensively strong out of the gate.
This class of seniors, led by Jordan McCoy, another captain, was recruited by the previous head coach. How important was it for them to buy in when you got here, and how has that class kind of been key to some of the things you've been able to accomplish the last couple of years?
Yeah, they've been a great class all the way around, and obviously Chrissy Lind and Jordan McCoy and Kristen Manley, Megan Brunson are four players that I've all seen time throughout the year in various roles, and sometimes asked to play multiple positions and kind of move around throughout the lineup. So that they've been a key, they've been a constant. The nice thing about them is they're veterans now. As a coaching staff, we know exactly what we're going to get from all four of them. Type of thing. There's no real question marks there. So we can kind of lean on them for leadership and just that experience there. And I think for them coming in, it's always easier as an incoming freshman when there's a coaching change, because you don't really know anything different yet. You're just kind of along for the ride. So hopefully the fact that they've been here for 4 years, with me, I always kind of say we came in together. I think it's been a good ride for them, and hopefully they'd say the same.
Well, the bar's been set pretty high the last couple of years. I know several players in their preseason forms that they fill out talk about going to nationals again. How refreshing is that for you to hear that that's one of their goals, and that's something that they want to accomplish this year?
Well, it's one of those things that when you get there, you kind of get that taste, and it's like, okay, there's an expectation. I want to get back. I guess the simplest answer is it's easy to say it, it's harder to do it, and we gotta go out and put the work in, and hopefully those same players you're talking about have put the work in this summer to put themselves in a position to make that more than just words. And we got a long season ahead of us. We play in a very difficult conference. The best route for us is to get through the conference tournament. That's 3 tough games at the end of the year, kind of a gauntlet run there. And we've been on both sides of that from the last 2 years, hosting a couple games the first year, and then last year 3 straight road games. So it's a tough ticket to punch, so we got a lot of work ahead of us.
As far as this fall camp, what do you do to break up the monotony after you've been going a week or week and a half straight? I know you've done things like bowling the last few years in the spring.
Yeah, we always try to throw a few surprises at them, and we'll kind of leave them as surprises right now for the players that are coming in. We always try to do a few different things throughout preseason, just throughout the year, to kind of break up the monotony and the grind a little bit, and make sure that there's still some smiles on the faces every day. So we got a couple tricks up our sleeves yet this year, and we, like I said before, we just really look forward to getting started next Friday.